Today I'm going to talk you through in detail exactly how to use Scout IQ. I'm going to talk you through why you would want to use it, what it does, how you can use it, and how I personally use it. This is the video that you want if you want to get started by selling things on Amazon and you don't have a lot of money to start up. Scout IQ really is an exceptionally good value for money tool to get you started in your side hustle journey. This is the tool which is allowing me to make better profit margins, better return on investment, and total higher profit than the vast majority of new sellers out there on Amazon. Let's dive in. So once you've clicked on the link that's in my bio, you can see there, you'll come to the Scout IQ website here, which is very nicely laid out. Here along the top, you can see you've got teams, triggers, features, pricing, the shop, and then log in. And the Scout IQ team offer a 14-day free trial, which is fantastic. You don't need any payment details or anything else, so I really do recommend you at least give it a 14-day trial just to test out the software. So what is the software? Well, basically, Scout IQ is a phone app which you can use to either use a Bluetooth connected device like a barcode scanner or just the your iPhone or Android phone's camera, and you can scan barcodes. It does work on other things, but primarily it's focused on books. And as you can see here, helping you smart scout and not harder, you scan an item, you then list it, whether you list it on Amazon or a different website is up to you, but obviously from my perspective, I'm very much focused on using Amazon and their FBA program in order to sell it, and you make some money. And of course, there are so many different shops in the UK certainly, and plenty of other countries as well, where you can pick up secondhand books for very, very little money. So, you know, plenty of places where you can pay £2.50 for a book, which can be sold for much more than that. But there are plenty of places where you can pick them up for £1 or 50p, or even some places 10p, and even some places entirely for free. Now, of course, not all of the books are profitable, and what Scout IQ does is it goes into the back end of Amazon using their API system, and it will allow you to check the details for that book, and basically gives you a green, grey or red result, as you can see at the top here in the demo that it's showing you. So scan it and it goes green, and it generally means this is a good book and you should pick it up because it will give you the level of profit you're looking for. Coming onto the pricing page, we can see it's priced in dollars, and we've got here, as I've already covered off, you've got 14 days for free. And then you've got two options. You've got a monthly payment plan or the annual payment plan. So monthly, you'll just pay $44 per month, every month. You can stop whenever you want, and it's entirely up to you. The other option is that you can pay $432 up front, which is in the little writing here, but it is actually $432, which is the equivalent of $36 per month if you did pay every month. But of course, that's a full 12-month subscription. Yes, you save 18%, but you've had to pay all of that up front. That looks like the only options you've got. Now, this isn't true. There is actually a completely other option, which I'm going to show you in a second. And although this is really good because it has unlimited live lookups and a downloadable database, which is the primary reason why this is the plan, it's the downloadable database here. You can see here we've got live plus database, and then we've also got live only. So if I go across to live only, the price dramatically drops. So monthly is only $14 a month, sort of just over £10 a month. And annually, if you pay £120 up front, then you are only paying the equivalent of £10 a month, $10 a month, sorry. The main downside to this plan is that you don't have this database for offline retrieval, and if you tend to thrift books or find books to sell on Amazon in shops where there is very limited or no mobile phone signal or Wi-Fi, then you're probably going to have to plump for the Live Plus database plan. What I would suggest is, first and foremost, 100% just go for the free 14-day trial. It's an absolute no-brainer, and if you don't sign up for the 14-day plan until literally the morning when you are packing the car to go and have a look around some bookshops to get some books, you are going to make the most of that 14-day plan. You really are. However, once you've done the 14-day trial, you'll have a better sense of whether or not the places where you go to which you've been successful at finding books, whether they have either mobile data, signal, or Wi-Fi. If they have neither, you might just have to accept that you're going to have to pay the extra cost if you think this is worth it for you. However, I've experienced most places that I go to, you don't need to have the database, and actually I prefer the live option anyway because it gives you the absolute latest information. You obviously have to keep your database downloaded and up to date. So for the princely sum of $14 a month after your free trial, it really is a no-brainer. So if you do decide you want to go ahead and try it, simply click on the sign up for free button here, enter your email, enter a password, complete the puzzle, and click register, and it is as simple as that. Next steps are to download the app onto your iPhone or Android phone. Once you've downloaded your app, you can open it up, and you then come to the screen here which is login, and you simply need to enter your username and password that you've just created and tap the login key. Once you have successfully logged into the app on your iPhone or Android phone, you're going to want to ensure that you're linked up to Amazon. So the next thing you're going to need to do is to come back to the Scout IQ website, click the login here, enter your login details, and it will take you through to the Scout IQ sort of back end area where you have got further options to customize. And here we go on the left hand side, you've got home, analytics, achievements, triggers, team, accounting and billing, Amazon, and training videos. Now, home is obviously where we are now. It's a very quick get up and running. I don't think they're particularly useful videos, but if you need the basics, then they are there. Analytics is the same analytics that you can get on your iPhone data. Achievements is fine, whatever. Triggers is the same as on your phone again. Team is the same as on your phone as well. Accounting and billing just tells you how much you've paid and when. But Amazon, this is the part that's really important. So we want to click on the Amazon icon here, and you saw briefly for a moment there it said not connected because it thought I wasn't for a second. Yours will say not connected because you won't yet have connected to your Amazon seller account. Now, if you haven't got an Amazon seller account, then I would have highly recommended you get your Amazon seller account set up first before starting the free trial. And if that is the case, I would suggest you perhaps even cancel your free trial now and perhaps start a new free trial with another email account once you have set up your Scout IQ. But hopefully you already have been selling on Amazon for a little bit, you've got all your accounts set up and all of that's good. If that's the case, you just need to click a button which will be here instead of the reauthorize. It will just say authorize. You click on there, you then go through to your Seller Central account, you allow the APIs to talk to each other. What that then does is it allows Scout IQ to pull the current integration on a macro basis, so it allows it to see into your Amazon FBA account, and the Amazon restriction check, it also then allows you to see whether or not you're restricted to sell on any of those. I have to say, for the first month that I was selling, I didn't find that Scout IQ was telling me that I was restricted on the books, and it wasn't until I got home, scanned the book on Amazon Seller Central, and then found out that actually I had to then request to be ungated or unrestricted. Having said that, there's only one book in all of the books that I've managed to list so far that I was unable to get ungated from. So the chances are, if you are gated, you're probably going to be allowed to be ungated as long as you just go through that normal video process that I've talked about before. However, if you do have real problems, you might have to contact Amazon Seller Central and say, look, I've got these books, it's secondhand, shouldn't be an issue. As long as you're not trying to sell new books. New books are more gated, but we're not in the business of trying to find and sell new books. Once you've logged in, you get to the screen here, which looks pretty basic at the moment, and it says let the scouting begin. Here you can see we've got a sort of no image on the left bottom here, sort of a no sign, a barcode, and then a scan button. We can also see there's two dots at the bottom, and that's because you can swipe the screen across to the left, and at the moment there's nothing changes, and we can swipe back to the right. Once we've scanned a book, that will change. Before we go into a demo of scanning the book, I just want to point out that at the very bottom here you've got an analytics, a triggers, and what the scanning we're on at the moment, and then the settings app. I'll cover each of those different areas in a moment, but for now, let's just get started with the most obvious thing of actually scanning a book. When scanning a book, you've got a number of different options. If for some reason you haven't got a barcode scanner and your camera isn't working, you can actually just manually enter an ISBN number by just tapping here and then entering the number or the of the barcode or the ISBN itself. So if I do this now manually, you'll see the example. And then press search, and here you'll find that we've got the book. Now I'll cover all of these different parts in a moment, but before I do that, I just want to also show you that you can then press the scan button here. And this now comes up with three options at the bottom, and we'll talk about speed mode later, but you've got the option of the barcode scan, the ISBN scan, or the title scan. Barcode scan is the most obvious, and all we have to do here is find the barcode, and it finds the item. If for some reason there isn't a barcode on the book, or perhaps the barcode is obscured by another sticker or other reason, you can go to the inside of the book, and if you look here, you can see we have the ISBN down here. If I now press on the ISBN button, again, we can scan it. Now, sometimes this happens and it comes up with the wrong thing. So all you have to do is press scan again. And there you go. Now we have scanned the ISBN. And the final option is just to scan the actual title of the book itself. So we can zoom out and scan. And here you can see that it hasn't been successful in finding the book. We could try rescanning it, or we could try one of the other two options. I just wanted to show that those are the three different options for scanning. But most of the time you'll use the barcode scan, which is what I use. And now we have the example of this book. So in the bottom left, you can see there's a small image, and this is the front cover of the book. And in this case, it does match exactly the book that I've got here, which is good. It doesn't necessarily have to match as long as it is the same book by the same author, it's the same edition. Sometimes they do have different covers, and that is something that is reality. So the very top here, you've got green. Now, green is good, and we'll go over exactly what that means in a moment, but let's leave the green bar for now, and we'll move straight on to the rest. The rank here in the next row is 1K. So that's 1,000. And think of the rank, which is similar to the Amazon bestsellers rank. It's basically the information they've pulled from the Amazon database. And that is like a music chart. So number 1 means it is the best ranking book in all the books on Amazon. And in this case, we're using Amazon UK, but obviously you could set it to Amazon US or wherever else you are in the world. And 1K is a very good score. It means it sells very quickly. There's going to be very few issues with getting this book out the door as long as you price it appropriately. The E-score is Scout IQ's proprietary number, and it's scored from 0 to 180. And it essentially is the number of days over the past 180 days that the book has sold at least one copy. So if the score is 180, it means it's sold 180 times in 180 days. If it has a score of 1, it means it's only sold once in 180 days, which means it's only selling like sort of twice a year, roughly speaking. And this is Scout IQ's way of trying to improve on the Amazon bestseller rank number, because we obviously know that a book ranked at 1,000 like this one will sell more copies than a book ranked at 50,000. But we don't know exactly how many more copies, and we don't know whether or not there's a massive jump. We also don't know if there's some seasonality to the book. So, for example, books around Christmas decorations or Halloween will probably sell better at certain times of the year, so their bestseller rank will improve as it comes up to that time, and then will drop off again. There is also the trade-in value, which at the moment is blank, and I'm not really too worried or interested in the trade-in value. On the left-hand side here, we can now see there is a screen which has 26 used, and then we've got 18 new. So the two columns on the left-hand side are all to do with the number of used books, and the two columns on the right-hand side are all to do with the new books. So starting on the used side, the first column is all used books. So that is both FBM, so fulfilled by merchant, and FBA, fulfilled by Amazon. And it gives you the first 5 lowest. And then the 6th one down is actually the 10th offer available. So we can see here we've got 26 used offers. So what you've got here is the cheapest 5, then the 10th cheapest, and then the final one, the $12.92 one in this instance, is the highest used offer. So you can see here 26, so this is number 26, essentially the 26th cheapest option, so the most expensive. The next column along, we can see it's just the FBA, and the FBA column just shows the 7 cheapest FBA options. Now here we've only got 4 showing. That means that out of the 26 used offers, only 4 of them are FBA. In the 18 new columns, so they're all in the FBA, same again, so cheapest 5, followed by the 10th, followed by, in this case, the 18th price. And again, in the FBA column, you've got 2 FBA sellers that are showing up out of, and they are the cheapest 2 out of the 7 that would show if there was 7 full FBA. The next row, you can see here, we've got the used buy box price, the new buy box price, and Amazon's price. So Amazon clearly here at $9.75 is one of the FBA sellers. And here we've got the used buy box price is $6.16. So at the moment, the person, it happens to be the cheapest person as well, who obviously, for those of you that do know about the buy box, that's when you go onto Amazon's website, you look at the buy now, and whoever's got the buy box is essentially the people that will, when you click buy it now, they're the people that will get the revenue for your purchase. Normally, if Amazon are on a listing, quite often they will be the ones that have the buy box for new. And I suspect in this instance they do, although it doesn't. This app doesn't explicitly tell you who has the buy box. You can infer the fact that the new buy box price and the Amazon price is the same. It's probably Amazon that have got the buy box. And the used buy box price isn't always the cheapest. It can vary on a number of different things. And particularly if you're the only FBA seller on this listing, or if there's no FBA listings and you go on the listing, the chances are, even if you're more expensive than all of the other listings, because the other listings are fulfilled by merchant, we will generally get the buy box as an FBA seller, which is great news. So you can price a really good price and you can still succeed. Now, the other point I also mention is that the brackets after the price, which you can see here, so starting at the top, we've got A, G, V, V, G, L, L. That it represents the quality of the book. So here you've got acceptable, which is A, which is the lowest quality that Amazon will accept. You've then got good, which happens to actually be the next level up. V for very good, and then L is like new, and then obviously on the right hand side you've actually got new. And there are different levels that you want to go for. A piece of advice that I always go by is to decide what quality I think that the book is actually at, and then put it on to Amazon on a level down. So if I think this book is like new, I'll put it's very good. If I think it's very good, I'll put good. If I think it's good, I'll put acceptable. And obviously if it's acceptable, either I just won't take it or I'll put it on as acceptable. That way then whenever someone gets the book, they're always sort of pleasantly surprised and you get the good reviews. The next row below that, we've got a link, a graph, a live, a JB, and the A for Amazon. The link is an opportunity for you to put in your own customized link, and I will talk about that later. The graph and chart icon, so if we press on that now, you'll see that the phone goes sideways, and what we have here is the sales rank, the used and the new data. So it's kind of like the Keeper chart for those of you who are familiar with Keeper. It can be useful if you just want a bit more information quite quickly. I tend not to use it because, as I'll go through in my workflow, I tend to make decisions pretty quickly based on the fact that I have got very little to lose and a lot to gain. And I'll talk about that later. The other options here, you've got live. Now, this doesn't really have much functionality for me because I only ever use the live scores. However, as I said earlier in the video, there are two different pricing plans. One of them is the live plus the database, and one of them is the live only. It's quite a large difference in the price, and having the database on the phone is really useful if you're going to be in places where you don't have much signal or any signal or Wi-Fi. However, wherever I'm going, generally speaking, I've got plenty of signal, and I prefer to have the live information anyway, so I don't actually use the live button because everything I do is live. JB is just books.co.uk because this is the UK version, and it is another way to sell on the books. However, most of the time the price that you get from just books is really, really low, and so again, it's not something I focus on, but just to be aware that that's there. And then Amazon, if you press on Amazon, it will bring up the actual Amazon listing as if you're about to purchase, and it is kind of useful because you can see the different sellers that are there. You can click see more, you can see how well people are doing. Sold by Prime, Superfast, next day delivery. They've got the buy box at the moment, and they are FBA because it's dispatches from Amazon. There's a voucher opportunity. You can see it's got 23,000 reviews and it's 4.5 stars, so generally speaking, probably quite a good book. New price at the moment is down from $10.99 to $9.75, etc. So that can be useful. I again don't tend to use this on a regular basis, but sometimes if I want a bit of extra information, I might. The image here on the left hand at the bottom, if you click that, it actually takes you through to your Seller Central. I'm not going to log into Seller Central now, but that's what happens. The barcode we've covered and the scan button we've covered as well. Now, what you can also do, as I mentioned, is you can swipe across. If we swipe across here now, you can see it's basically the same information but laid out slightly differently. Here we've got the sales rank, the e-score, which we've already covered, the lowest used price. So it's saying the lowest used price is quite low, so it's only giving it an orange. And the used buy box price is actually very low relative to what we're looking to sell at. So that's kind of a red, and then Amazon's price is $9.75, which is also kind of a bit concerning because it's quite low, particularly if we're trying to hit a target price of $8.78. And there's 44 total offers, which for this seller rank and e-score is absolutely fine. It means it's not an issue. Buy cost at the moment is 0 and profit is $4.26 based on a buy cost of 0, and if we did manage to sell for $8.78. So we'll swipe back again because I actually prefer this view. Now, two things to note here, which I haven't talked about, and we'll go to the top now to talk about. First of all is the profit. Now, ignore the fact it's in $sign. I think that's just a glitch. It doesn't usually happen. Sometimes it does happen, but it doesn't. It literally doesn't make a difference. It's just the symbol. It's just the wrong symbol that comes up. The buy cost, you can tap on the buy cost here and you can either double click and delete the zeros and enter your price, so £1, and then you can carry on. Or you can, it usually starts at 0, and if you can just choose to tap here and you can go up in increments of 50p. So let's say we did spend £1 to buy this book, and we then close that out, and you can now see that the buy cost is updated and the profit has been updated to reflect that as well. The final thing is, it still says accept though, which is good news for us. And if we tap onto the actual profit, where it says profit here, FBA 326, you can then see the full breakdown of the costs and why it estimates a 326 profit. So we're listing it at 878 with a buy cost of £1. There's the referral fees of 132, the closing fee of £1, FBA fee of £2.11. I haven't put any fuel or inflation surcharges in. The inventory storage fee is only 2p. So it's saying a total fees of £4.45 plus my pound to buy means that's £5.45 costs. Inbound shipping, now you can adjust this as much as you want. So any of the orange fields you can adjust. However, I tend to leave them alone. I haven't really worked out yet whether inbound shipping really is accurate, but I found that for about 50 books, I generally get charged about £9. Now obviously that depends on how big and heavy the books are. The smaller the books are, then the cheaper it will be to send them in using UPS and as Amazon's preferred supplier. But I find it's about £9 to £10 for 50-ish books, and that is, I just spread the cost at the moment equally over every single book to estimate my actual profit that I'll get. But this is a pretty good best effort guess. The other thing you can do here is you can tap across. If you want to do this yourself and you want to keep the books at home and you're going to post them directly from your home, not through Amazon, and you're going to do the fulfill by merchant process, then again you can work out your costs here. Personally, wouldn't advise that because the whole point we're trying to achieve here is that we want Amazon to do as much of the work as possible. Here we are on the analytics page, and the first thing we can notice at the top is we can choose the time period that we want to look at the statistics. So if we choose the this year so far, you can see my lifetime scans is 4,326, and that's a 25% acceptance rate, which means that roughly speaking about 1,000 or so of my books have been accepted. And my best day was in May the 8th when I scanned 1,131 books. I'm not quite sure what was happening on that day, but obviously a good one. So total scans is 4,326. The total scans is across this year. The lifetime scans is across the whole life of the app. Total accepts across the time period, that's 1,085. Acceptance rate, as we said, is 25%. Total list price, that says $25,000. So it says that if I sell every single book that I've scanned that was a success, that I would make 25,000. Ignore the dollar sign. £25,000 of revenue, and the total cost of purchase, if I bought every single book that was accepted, it would have cost me £871, giving me an estimated profit of £17,000, which, when you do the maths on that, you spent £800, spent less than £1,000, and you're making over 17,000. So that's over a 17 times return, which is pretty good when most people are looking for 30% return on their money. And it gives you a little graph there that shows you by month, and again you can change it from year to a shorter time frame, to the last 7 days, for example, and you can see what's gone on there. Total scans 153 accepts, so my accept rate this week has been really good. I've been really cherry picking the shops, and 56%. List price of nearly £2,000, an estimated profit of £1,000, which would be great, especially when it only cost me £116. And again, you can see the days there. It shows you which days you were most busy and how many books you scanned. And again, the breakdown, which can be quite useful. I tend to keep all this information personally in a spreadsheet, and I'll go on to that later. But this Scout IQ is kind of a broad swag. It's not that accurate because of the way in which I do my process at the moment. Scout IQ doesn't have a way of you kind of going back in your history to sort of review the books that you've already scanned once in the shop, if you need to then scan them later. So just for a moment, if we go back to scanning, Scout IQ is giving you a green accept for this book. And there's a number of different reasons for giving you an accept. And the things it considers are the price, the rank, the e-score, how much you're buying it for, how quickly the book generally sells, how many other sellers are on the app. And what you can do in the triggers column, which is here, is you can set your own triggers, or you can choose the Scout IQ ones. Now, I use Scout IQ Default UK because I'm in the UK. I'd imagine if you're in the US, you should use Scout IQ Default. And I actually created my own here, UK2, and you can actually you can't edit the Scout IQ default, but you can edit UK2. So if I go into edit triggers here, you'll see here I can then edit UK2. And we can then choose, I mean, I've just made this up, so, please don't follow this because I don't use it myself. But what you can do is you can say if the minimum e-score is, say, 116, so that's a really good e-score, all the way through to the maximum e-score, so 180. So it's got a really good e-score, and it's at least ranked 1 and maximum rank 50,000. So again, if it's really good e-score and it's a really good rank, and there's not more than 3 FBA, and there's 15 available, compare it to the buy box. We're not going to. You want to have at least 10% off of the Amazon sale price, and I think that's quite a normal thing. Then the target profit we want is at least 2, and it's actually pounds again, to at least £2 profit. Then we can say if it hits all those triggers, then yes, go ahead and give us an accept. And what you can do then here is you can see, you can scroll down, you can keep setting different triggers. So here you go, for example, the bottom one says if it's only got an e-score of 1 and the rank is like 2 million to 10 million, and there is no FBA slot at the moment, and there's one unused slot at least, you're not going to compare to the buy box. You want it 15% below Amazon's main sale price, but you're going to need to make at least £20 of profit, otherwise it's going to be a reject. And so you can add all these different triggers to get you to accept, and that is a very easy way of doing it. And then finally in settings here, this is quite useful for setting it up to get yourself in the best possible position. One of the things I have turned on is always awake. I find that my phone ends up going to sleep otherwise, and it's really frustrating if you're halfway through a scan and you've just had to stop for a second and then you want to carry on again. I also turn audio off. It's just quite annoying for me to have the beeping all the time, and I don't really want to draw a huge amount of attention to myself when I'm in some of the shops that I go to. I do have it on vibrate, but I don't really need it to be on vibrate because I tend to very quickly flick up to look at the phone anyway. Because I want to make sure, because I only use the live version, I have to make sure that the connections worked. It's drawn the information from the web, and then it's showing it to show whether it's green or red. So I tend to wait until I've got an actual green or red in front of me. I can see that it's a yes or a no, and then I carry on to the next one. So that can be ever so slightly laggy, but for me it's definitely worth it to know that I've got the right information. I don't have the ISBN searches only turned on because I like it to search barcode and everything else. I don't have the lock screen turned on because it's right by me all the time. And the custom link I'm not going to cover now, but that is one of the most powerful things which we'll go into later. Wholesale integration, again, sell back your book or wholesale order queues. I don't have turned on because I'm not interested in trying to wholesale them. I find that there's very little profit in that compared to doing Amazon FBA. One thing you can do is add a Bluetooth barcode scanner to your phone. Really simple. You just go into your settings as you would do for any other Bluetooth device. You go to pair and you follow the basic instructions in there. I use a really cheap one. It's called the Terra. There is a link in my bio below, or the info for this video below. So if you want to get the same one I've got, I do recommend it. It's really good. Just click through and buy that. However, I would say when you're getting started, you really don't need a Bluetooth scanner. If you're just going into thrift stores, the camera on the back of your phone is really quite good enough, particularly if you're not using the database. Again, you're going to have to wait for the database to load from online anyway, and the camera is fast enough. The main advantage of the Bluetooth scanner is you really don't have to pull books out very far from the shelf, and you can just really quickly scan them, go, scan them, go, scan them, go. So it can be advantageous because you can get through more books, but when you're getting started, the phone is really all you need. And at this stage, you are trying to absolutely minimize your outgoings and maximize your profits. I'm going to do a full rundown now of what I would do as I go into a thrift store, secondhand store, whatever, bookstore, and how I decide my process, just to give you an idea of the full work through that I go. Before I leave for the day, I try and map out a route where I can do at least 2, generally a minimum of 3, but maybe 2 if they're really big stores or they're really successful ones in the past. 3 or more stores where I will find, where I know there are going to be books. I will then plot my route, and I'll ensure I've got sufficient bags, fully charged up mobile phone, possibly even a battery pack, and if I want to take it my Bluetooth scanner with me, I'll then head on my route. I'll arrive at the store and I either have my phone in my hand if I'm just using the phone, or I'll put the phone on the bookshelf so that I can easily see and it's got plenty of signal. And then I'll get myself comfy. And I normally just work pretty much either from left to right or right to left, depending on how the store's set up. And I will try to just pull out the spine of the book, scan the book, and as soon as I have one that goes green, I pretty much just bag it there and then. Most of the bookstores I go to, I try to find the ones where they're 10 pence a book, or if they're more expensive, where they're really high quality books. What I try to avoid is shops where there's different pricing for every single book. What I really want to find is a bookshop where all the books on that shelf are £1, or all the books on that shelf are 10 pence. So for this example, I'm going to assume that I'm in the shop that I go to where everything's 10 pence. First of all, I'm just going to get started and I'm just going to scan the first book. So I've used my Bluetooth scanner in this case, and as you can see here, the first book I've scanned comes up red. It's minus 43 pence based on the fact that there's a very good book that's selling of this book, The Boy Who Cried Ninja. It's going for £4.05. Even if I didn't have to pay for this book, the Amazon costs plus my shipment costs into Amazon are likely to mean that I actually have to pay 43 pence to get rid of this book. So clearly not one I'm going to take. What I'm going to do here now is, because I've done the first scan, is I'm just going to tap on the buy cost and I'm going to update my actual buy price. This is really important. You mustn't forget to do this. And for a second, it's not going to work because I've just attached my Bluetooth scanner. So you have to actually disconnect your scanner. This is one of the potentially negative reasons. So now I have to update. So we'll just update to 10 pence there. Now that's updated, I can put my Bluetooth back on again. And obviously now it's even worse profit. It's now minus 53 pence. Okay, so we can discount that one. What I'll then do is I'll then carry on through and until I find the next book that is actually a green. There you go. Now we've got the book that we've already talked about, Born to Run. That's a green. And I'll continue scanning through. I'm really not looking in detail when I do my scanning. I literally scan, wait for the trigger. Nope. Negative. Yes, positive. Negative, 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 and positive. So I'm going to stop there because you get the idea of what I'm doing. So I've scanned 5 books and 2 have been successful. That's a pretty good 40% hit rate there. Unlikely to be the case in real life. You're going to have to scan probably 100 books to find maybe 5 books that are good. But you can do better depending on which bookshops you go to if you focus on the ones that are good, and also if you focus on the types of books that seem to be selling well in your niche. I tend to find that non-fiction is better than fiction, but there are definitely some really valuable fiction books out there if you know which ones to go for. I tend to go on the triggers that Scout IQ provides, and this isn't for a long-term success rate. This is probably not the best way to do it. The reason I say that is that you're not understanding, or I'm not in this instance, understanding why the app is making the decisions for me to buy the book or not. But if I'm only spending 10 pence as an outlay, and in this instance, let's look at the amount of profit that I'm looking at making today by going to my analytics, and we'll go to today. So we've done 17 scans, we've had 8 accepts. List price of $71 and the buy cost, okay, is actually saying 0. But let's say the buy cost was, for 8 accepts, was 80 pence. I've spent 80 pence, so call it £1, and I'm expected to make £34 of profit. So my outlay is £1 for £34 return. So it's 34 times return, 3,400% ROI. That's really, really massive. And do you know what? If you get a lemon or 2 in your pack for 10 pence, even for £1, I've decided in my own decision-making process that is a worthwhile risk to take. Now, I'm not saying that you should do that. I think everybody needs their own criteria. But for me, I want to get around as many shops as possible and buy as many books as possible to try and list as many books as possible. If I were instead to scan books one by one, look at all the information, look at why the Scout IQ app is telling me this is an accept, comparing, checking whether or not if I could sell it at the cheapest price, would it still sell or not. If I'm honest, I just feel that would slow down the process so much. I would miss a lot of opportunity because time is limited, time is precious. You want to try and get as many books as possible in as short a time as possible. For me, I'd rather just grab as many as possible, take them for 10 pence, take them for £1, whatever, If I then get them home, my next process is what I will then do is I'll rescan them. I'll use the link, which I'm going to talk about in the next video, and I will upload them onto my database and prepare to send them into Amazon. If it then turns out that any of the books actually don't make sense to sell into Amazon, they're not going to be profitable, they're perhaps damaged, they're not in the best of quality, whatever, I try and make those decisions about quality in the shop like pretty much instantly. I tend to only scan books that are of a decent enough quality. However, sometimes some do slip through. So be it. I take the hit. I may have lost 10 pence, I may have lost £1, but I accept that as kind of the cost of doing business, and I think that cost outweighs the profit that I can make by getting as many books scanned as possible. As I say, it's up to you how you do yours, but that is just how I run mine. Okay, so there you have it. Well done for making it to the end of this video. There really isn't much more to it than what I've just shown you. If you don't already have an Amazon seller account, or you want more useful information which you can actually apply, then subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos for more. The most important and hardest thing is to just get started. Good luck.